Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode in our Minecraft Adventure series. And yeah, this is a video going up on Saturday, and I was hopeful, based off of the last episode that we did, that today's video would be showing a fully functioning creeper farm of my own modified design. However, we've run into a couple of roadblocks, and I want to kind of talk about that. So I'm not deterred from actually getting a creeper farm up and running, but you can see here, this was the giant pit that we had built up. Oh, and before I forget, sorry about the last video. It's been brought to my attention that I was a little bit, well, I was sneezing in certain parts and lack of quality in a couple of bits. And that's totally on me. I was a little bit tired as I was putting that video together, so my apologies, and I will be sure to keep an eye on that for future videos that we end up doing here. But as you can kind of see, this is the big pit that we did have. And it's not filled in. I've just got a slabs, or a collection of slabs kind of put up over the top. And we've got a little bit of a problem with it, honestly. And most of it has to do with the actual workings of the farm. Now, I guess I had that running still, don't I? So let's go ahead and get this little deal switched off. So we ran into a couple of problems. And one of those is here with the actual collection system itself. Now, I was trying my best to get a couple of things working, but the different clocks and setups that I've tried haven't been fruitful at all in terms of actually powering and actually running the water. And I think a problem or a portion of that issue may be linked with the fact that we have the water dispensers facing upwards on the actual tower here, and that causes some overall problems with the functionality of our farm. So let's go ahead and look around here at a couple of different things that we're experiencing some issues with in this particular design. And here we are, so that will get us up to the top. And you'll see, or you'll notice that I did actually end up installing a lighting system that should help decrease, I don't think it eliminates completely, the spawns that may happen or may occur here, but it will decrease the amount of spawns that we're seeing in this area. And there's a lot of redstone wiring that went into this, and it's honestly kind of a mess, but it was a good exercise in troubleshooting and building up a set of redstone equipment. So I'm honestly not too upset about the work that I did there, and it's given me some ideas for the second wave, or the second project that we'll need to do with this particular iteration of a farm. And if we come down around here, we'll be able to see some more of the interworkings here. And we've got these trapdoors spread out around to prompt or help more creepers to spawn in relation to other types of mobs, though I was still getting other mobs spawning in, which was a little bit unfortunate. But the biggest problem that I'm facing with this particular design, as I mentioned earlier, well, one of the two biggest problems, I guess I should say, because there is another large glaring issue, is this dispenser. The clocks, any of the clocks that I've ran it on, will have either one of two problems. One, the pulse is too slow and the water does not actually leave or flow outwards, which causes problems because without the water fully flowing out to the edges, you're not actually going to clean up anything that does spawn on these platforms. And the second issue that I was experiencing with this, it actually has to do with the platforms that we have. Now, I wanted to, where possible, have a little bit of a more compact design, but I'm realizing that there are a couple of issues with that. First, the water doesn't stop at the edge. It does continue to flow off the sides, and that is problematic because it creates one large column of water that flows all the way down to the bottom, and mobs can climb up waterfalls. So I watched from my camera account and saw that there were a couple of instances where creepers would climb up the waterfall instead of coming down. And it's really just kind of unfortunate that that's how it worked out. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll salvage at least the bits out of this that I can. So I'll come through and I'll strip the trapdoors away, I'll strip the observers and the dispensers out, and I'll leave the overall framework. I'm not going to worry about taking down these light setups and anything else, because one, they're a mess, and two, I don't want this to become an unharvestable mob farm, and that will help cut down on the amount of lag that might be experienced by the server and other things. But I'm not deterred. I do want to get a mob farm up and running, particularly because creeper farms in general are very beneficial when one has an elytra, because they are the main fuel source in rockets, in terms of actually getting that to run as you need them to. Now, this portion was working well enough in keeping the water out from this area due to the signs that we had set up, but these signs around the edges here, they're not helping as much as I'd hoped or thought that they would. So unfortunately, we're just kind of experiencing an overall collection of catastrophic failures. But it's been a learning experience, and I have several plans or several ideas of ways that I can improve this design and better implement it. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention is I don't recommend building this style of farm underground. Most creeper farms that I've seen, I mean, they can work underground. It's not that big of a deal. But this particular version involves a lot of digging things out in very specific patterns. So for the next iteration, I'm definitely going to focus on doing a design that is not dependent on being underground. I'm actually going to completely build it above ground and make my modifications to it there. Because yes, there are still some things that I feel I can do to improve upon the overall designs in this system. But with that being said, I do want to come showcase a slightly different portion of the world with something that I do like quite a bit better, and something that has been not nearly as stressful. Oh, the other thing is this collection system is fairly well, but from the few creepers that I did have coming through, they weren't dropping any gunpowder. Like they would come in, but the only thing that I've been able to collect from our lava killing system has been just some rotten flesh, and from a couple of zombies that were also spawning inside this farm. So definitely some work that would need to be done there to improve the overall performance of the farm. And as much as I hate using magma blocks as a killing mechanism, they're honestly going to be our best bet in terms of guaranteeing gunpowder drops from creepers from the limited testing that I have been able to do. But let's get rested up and under cover of day, go over and showcase the next little project that we've been working on, and I think that you'll enjoy that one a little bit better. So you'll see over here, we've got a couple of things changed. This was our initial cow farm, and as beneficial as it was, I think there's a couple of adjustments that we can make to it in order to make it not only more efficient, but more compact. So the original idea was we had a couple of fence gates underneath the floor there that the cows would go ahead and walk through, and it was primarily used to capture the calves after breeding cows. But as much as cows are 2 blocks tall and calves are 1 block tall, they both have a collision hitbox of just 1 wide. And so we were experiencing some issues or problems with that. So instead, we've got our nice little barn set up over here. And this is not only a better design overall in terms of how we can house things, I've also got a better design picked out in terms of how we can kind of get our meat from our cows and sheep and other things collected. So let's come through this gate, Got a couple of horses in here. Of course, our main horses are back over at the house because we have been using them a little bit more. But you'll see here that we've got a couple of sheep on this edge and a couple of cows over here. And the main idea of this particular design is, though it's not fully up and running just yet, we do have a one area gap in the back end of this farm. And the idea, if I can kind of make my way in here, is going to be to block off the area with some of our fence gates, like so. If I can get this first one placed here. And the idea with this is that we're not going to have any of the adults slipping through this area because their collision hitbox is too tall. That being said, it will not prevent us from allowing the young sheep to come through onto this edge. And we'll dig that down a little bit more and then have a chamber built up below with grass so they can grow. We'll get it all lit up quite nicely. And then we will go ahead and kind of set up a room there that we can use for collecting. I guess the technical term for it is mutton, though I don't know that the game labels it that way. Mutton and also wool from the sheep that are killed down there. And yeah, we'll keep these ones up here to shear and collect things from as needed. And then we've got an identical system over here for these cows. Now, yeah, they're kind of stuck down here in this trench that they shouldn't be in, but we can bring some wheat over here and very easily and quickly rectify that issue. So that's kind of the lower level that we have here, and we'll dig an access point to the underground level in these areas, but you'll notice that we also have some spaces up top. And oh, we do have a couple of extra fence gates that we can use here, so I'll grab those for some work that I'll do here in a minute. And if we come upstairs, you'll notice that we have a couple of chickens that I've now released from their pen. All right, well, so before that, that chicken kind of rudely ran away from us here. We've got an area with some chickens up above where we can kind of collect some things, and we could probably get an automated chicken collection system here. I thought that they spawned if you threw the eggs, but apparently not. Or maybe I have to throw them on grass instead of cobblestone. Anyway, we've got this area over here, and then we've got these pigs that are kept upstairs, and we might need to retrofit the ground. I'm not entirely sure as to how the mechanics of pigs spawning and growing works. But yeah, this is kind of the barn area that we have set up for collecting some of our different resources from the farmable animals here. So let's go ahead and take a brief moment just to get the separation system completed there, and we'll meet up again in just a moment. Real quickly, one thing that I did just want to mention is we do have a little friend down here, the little zombie that we've been able to capture and put a name tag on. So this is Patient Zero, and Patient Zero is going to help us with our endeavors to eventually cure up some of our villagers, so we can get some better trades out of them. So that'll be a little bit of a fun activity, to be sure. Now, what we'll want to do is let's go ahead and get our wheat in hand, because if we do that and come over this way, we'll be able to lure the different cows that are stuck back there out of that ravine, and that will be what we need in order to get them out, so we can then get the remainder of this area set up. Let's hope for some of them to move away from this gate quickly. Yes, now I don't have to box any of them in. Now let's do this again, so we can kind of get them out of this ravine here, because they look for food, and that's stuff that they like. And let's go ahead and start putting down some of this so we can keep them out of it. Preferably, I would have liked to have had this done before, but we've got it all finished out nonetheless. So that is exactly what we need for this side. Now we'll just want to do the same for our sheep. So let's get these guys away from the gate. Close them back in. Do the same for our sheep here. Let's get them out of their little ravine here at the back. Come on, guys. And just like that, as we lure them away, we can run back out behind them. And that will do it for keeping them out of that little pit. Now, yeah, we do want some of the sheep to wander into the pit, but it's not these fully grown ones. So it's good that we can separate them out and keep them from this spot. And this will be a project that I return to kind of showcase the more fine workings of how that's meant to function. And it doesn't overall hinder the design of our little barn here. So I'm quite happy with it for how useful it will be in terms of providing us with some sustainable food for adventures and the like. But yeah, I plan to continue in working with some of our farms here, and there's a lot of things that we'll be doing to make that creeper farm function actually as it should be. This guy's not looking so good, and that's kind of unfortunate. We've also got to breed some more of our villagers up here. I mean, this guy apparently didn't like the fact that one of them was trying to enter and leave at the same time, so they often do a dance where they'll kind of slam the door consistently. And here we had an unfortunate bit of casualties that I'll just kind of mention real quick, where all of the villagers that we had before, we don't have quite as many as we used to, and the ones that we do have, admittedly, they still give us some things that we would need. We've got some Respiration 3, which I should actually buy one of these off of this guy and get it onto my helmet. But we've also got our Feather Falling and Fortune villager over here, and another villager that sells mending books, and actually at a better price than what the original librarian that we had did, so not too shabby there. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode, and yeah, we suffered a bit of a catastrophic failure and in some of our stuff, but we'll be sure to rectify that issue with the following iterations of our creeper farm, and I'm excited for that because I'm also going to make some modifications to it to make it kind of unique to me and to our little world here. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more daily content, as that will be coming to you just as consistently as it has been. So thanks again for watching, and you have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.